Bonjour à tous et à toutes. Je m'appelle
Hello,
André.
everyone, and my name is Andréane Leblanc, and I'm Interim Director of Communications at Telefilm Canada. Thank you for joining us today for our annual public meeting 2022-2023. For accessibility reasons, I'd now like to take a moment to just show you some dynamic video of Telefilm, and I'll take some time to describe myself. So my hair is blonde, loose. I'm seated, and behind me there's some plants and some books.
Telefilm Canada's head office is located in Montreal, and this is historically known as a gathering place for many First Nation peoples. We encourage you to practice gratitude for the land you are on and to pay respect to the lineage of Indigenous people who have lived in rights relations with this land for thousands of years. To learn more about Telefilm Canada's initiatives toward truth and reconciliation, we invite you to consult our recently published Indigenous Reconciliation Plan that can be found on our website, telefilm.ca. Our annual public assembly is an important event because it provides us an opportunity to highlight Telefilm's progress over the past year and to share what is to come over the next year. L'équipe de Telefilm Canada est fière, très fière du travail.
The Telefilm Canada team is proud, very proud of the work achieved for our Canadian film industry over the past year. Allow me to introduce our management team, starting with our chairman of the board, Robert Spickler, and our executive director and CEO, Julie Roy, who will be addressing you today. Our management team is also included with Francesca Chinelle, VP Promotion Communications, International Relations, René Bourdage, VP Cultural Portfolio Management, Patrick Bédard, VP Finance and Technology of Information, Marie-Ève Mainville, VP Talent and Culture, who unfortunately could not attend today. And finally, Cathy Wong, VP Equity, Diversity and Inclusion and Official Languages, who's currently on maternity leave.
This presentation will be recorded and available on our platform for your convenience. Today's event is available in its original bilingual version on LinkedIn, as well as in English and French with simultaneous translation, American Sign Language, langue des signes québécoise, and closed captioning. You will find alternate links for the French only and the English only streams in the event descriptions and live chat. Lors de la prochaine heure, Monsieur Robert Spickler et Madame Julie.
In the next hour, Mr. Robert Spickler and Mrs. Julie Roy will provide an update on the achievements of the past year and what's to come. The members of our management team will then join the presentation for a question and answer session. So please feel free to post your questions in the comments section of the LinkedIn or YouTube, and we will answer live at the end. So with no further ado, I invite the chairman of our board of directors, Mr. Robert Spickler, to take the floor. Mr. Spickler, to you. Thank you, Andréane.
Welcome to Telefilm Canada's 2023 Annual Public Assembly. Today, we will report on our key activities and accomplishments during the 2022-2023 fiscal year. And to continue to connect with people from coast to coast to coast and ensure greater accessibility, we've chosen to hold our meeting online once again. So thank you for being with us here today. Au profit des personnes malvoyantes, je porte...
To help the visually impaired, I'm wearing a black sweater with a blue-gray jacket. I'm speaking from Telefilm Canada's office, and behind me are a few reference books. The past year has been busy and productive for Telefilm. First, we had the pleasure of welcoming Julie Roy as the new Telefilm's executive director and chief executive officer. She brings with her a wealth of experience in the Canadian film industry. On behalf of the board of directors, I wish to offer her our full support as she carries out her mandate. I wish also to thank Francesca Chinelle who led Telefilm's interim management team with passion and conviction for more than 6 months, during which time she significantly contributed to the pursuit of our objectives. The year 2022 and 2023 was marked by a return to normality for our industry after the pandemic years. Moviegoers returned to their cinemas, and the many festivals were also able to reconnect with their audiences. However, the fact that our industry has been able to recover so quickly is largely due to the additional support received from the Department of Canadian Heritage, which has enabled Telefilm to increase and extend its support to the various stakeholders of the Canadian film industry. I thus wish to express our deepest appreciation to the Government of Canada for the sustained and increased support that it's provided to the audiovisual community over the past few years. I also wish to take this opportunity to welcome the new Minister of Canadian Heritage, Pascale Saint-Onge, and assure her of our full cooperation.
Ensuring the continuity of Telefilm's additional funding remains a top priority. As Telefilm embarks on a strategic planning process, it is of utmost importance to envision its future role. To effectively fulfill its mission of developing, financing, and promoting Canadian cinema in collaboration with the industry, Telefilm must have the necessary means to continue championing the audiovisual sector. The fact is, we are in a critical moment. With the implementation of Telefilm's strategic plan for the next 3 years, and to maintain all of its existing programs, there is an urgency to receive the renewal of the government grant that was provided to Telefilm since 2021. We look to the Department of Canadian Heritage with great anticipation and hope as Telefilm works closely with them on this urgent priority. The cinema and Canadian films drive our work at Telefilm. As I mentioned earlier, we saw an increase in movie theater attendance, and festivals have returned to their usual rhythm. While this is much welcome, there is still a need to urge local, regional, and national broadcasters and cinema to give Canadian films a greater pride of place. We have strong Canadian films and stories that should be seen. In this regard, I want to commend the work of Canadian filmmakers, producers, and craftspeople who make our cinema shine at home and abroad, and who in recent years have had to work in particularly difficult conditions due to the pandemic. And to highlight the emerging creators, Telefilm is proud to play a key role in the start of their filmmaking career. I cannot overstate the importance of the Talent to Watch program, which supports filmmakers in bringing a first feature to screen and provide them with an invaluable springboard. To name just a few recent work, I congratulate Zerar Khan for In Flame, which was featured at the Cannes Festival and at TIFF. Je félicite également Kevin T. Landry pour son film Jour de
I
Merde.
also congratulate Kevin T. Landry for Jour de Merde, prize of Gilles Carle to the Rendez-vous du Cinéma Québécois.
Whose film The Maiden première at the Venice Film Festival. Et je félicite enfin Fanny Pelletier, dont le film
And
Joue
finally, Fanny Pelletier, whose film Jouvencel was shown at the International Festival of Documentary Films of Gisava in Czech Republic.
En terminant, je veux remercier
In closing, I'd like to thank the members of Telefilm's board of directors, Angèle Boussoleil, Karen Horscher, Emmanuel Letourneau, Sean Ponambalam, and Étoile Stewart for their commitment and great availability. I would also like to thank Claude Jolicoeur, who completed his mandate this year, and wish to welcome Suzanne Guevremont, Film Commissioner at the National Film Board, who joined our board this year.
Enfin, au cours des prochains mois, je termine.
Finally, in the coming months, I will be completing my term as chair of Telefilm's board of directors. My takeaway from these 5 rather tumultuous years, how much the fervor, dedication, and expertise of Telefilm Canada's staff ensures that Canadian filmmakers, partners that are accomplices and eager to promote their seventh art. Thank you all for your attention. I now give the floor to Julie Roy, Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer.
I will start by describing myself. I have short, curly blonde hair. I'm wearing a black dress, a black leather jacket, and I'm sitting down. Behind me is a bright pink wall. I would like to take this moment today to thank our board of directors, and in particular, Chair Robert Spickler, who has passionately served as the lead of the board for 5 years. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of you today for attending our annual public meeting. Since taking up my post at Telefilm more than 7 months ago, I had the privilege to connect with the most passionate Telefilm partners and creators from across the country. I've been working in the film industry for over 30 years, and I still have a profound and sincere appreciation for Canadian talent. Their cinematic expression drives the heart of our vibrant sector. As Mr. Spickler mentioned, it's no secret that the audiovisual sector on a global scale is in the middle of great transformation, driven by the various shifts in legislation, politics, and culture. This transformation certainly creates uncertainty, but also opportunities that reinforce Telefilm's role to stay innovative and relevant. The last fiscal marked a significant recovery period from the pandemic years. We saw an increase in film and television productions reaching over $11 billion. Canadian feature film production volume rose by 44%. Festivals welcomed back in-person gatherings where Telefilm supported 230 industry activities. And of course, cinemas reopened. The Recovery Fund from the Government of Canada supported 130 theaters as well as our promotional initiatives. And Telefilm took the opportunity to launch a large-scale back-to-cinema marketing campaign to inspire audiences back in theaters. As we see, investing in audience engagement and ensuring Canadian films are discoverable continues to be a top priority. Also, we see Canadian films find theatrical success. Let me give you a few examples. Matt Johnson's Blackberry, Clemens Virgo's Brother, and Anthony Shim's Rice Boy Sleeps. Toutes nos félicitations à Myriam Bouchard pour son film 23 décembre qui a obtenu le prix Écran d'or décerné au film canadien ayant généré le plus de recettes dans les cinémas. Il s'agit de la première fois qu'un film signé par une femme réalisatrice...
This is the first time that a film signed by a woman director and a woman screenwriter has won this award. This House at Maison by Myriam Chow was also a big hit in theaters and is offered on the Criteria channel. Nicolas Lemay and Christine Dallaire-Dupont's animated feature Katak, Le Brave Beluga is another great example of a success story. In total, Telefilm has invested close to $159 million in Canadian production, promotion, distribution, and theatrical companies. On the international scene, Canada is a safe bet when it comes to co-productions. 60 film and television projects have been co-produced with 15 countries. Many of them have won international acclaim. Here are 3 examples. Falcon Lake, Charlotte Lebon's first feature film, Infinity Pool by Brandon Cronenberg, and Crimes of the Future by David Cronenberg. Working together to support our creators is absolutely essential, particularly in the current climate.
In a time like this, it is reassuring that Telefilm is continuing the momentum of building on the trust we have with the industry, reaffirming and attracting new funding, and making sure we are one of the most effective agents for bringing our industry all together. Working collaboratively is necessary and, dare I say, mandatory. Telefilm is playing an active role in the modernization efforts within the cultural sector, and we are working closely with the new minister, Madame Pascale Saint-Onge. We have also joined forces with our sister agencies, Canada Media Fund, Indigenous Screen Office, and National Film Board, to really work hand in hand with the industry. Partnerships are a great place for new opportunities. For example, last year, Telefilm fostered a new international partnership like the New Dawn Fund and the Arctic Indigenous Film Fund. These partnerships align with our approach to focus on our social and environmental commitments, guided by principle of strong governance. Notre industrie a fait et fait encore
Our
face.
industry has faced and continues to face many changes. We can celebrate recent successes when we see the results of your creativity, of your resilience in your films. We can also see the impact of collective commitments, whether it be toward parity, support for Aboriginal talent, and EDI initiatives. In fact, last month, Telefilm launched its first ever Indigenous Reconciliation Plan, the full version of which is available on our website. Another constant priority is sustainable development. This year, Telefilm calculated its carbon footprint for the very first time. We also initiated research projects and case studies on more than 20 film productions. Telefilm has positioned itself within the industry as a champion of both practices in sustainable development, both as a funding agency and as an employer. On another note, a few weeks ago, we began our strategic planning process. This plan will take into account the realities facing creators, such as inflation and production costs, artificial intelligence, EDI, sustainable development, amongst others. What's more, like many of our partners, we're gearing up for the upcoming CRTC hearings. These are starting on Monday next. For our industry, this is a key moment towards the modernization of the audiovisual sector, a space to unify voices, and more specifically for us at Telefilm and for you, the storytellers. It's an opportunity of reinforcing the importance and power of Canadian cinema and feature films. This is my first annual general meeting, and in my new role, I want to reassure you that Telefilm is here for you. Every day, whether in the office or in the field, I can see the strength and enthusiasm that drives our entire team. Telefilm is a trusted investor and public administrator focused on talent. And today I find that it is really important to acknowledge the contribution of the leaders who preceded me, in particular Carole Brabant and Krista Dickinson, who did important groundwork that set us up for success. I would also like to thank my colleagues on Telefilm's executive committee, whom you've met earlier on. Their in-depth knowledge of the industry and their sense of leadership played a key role in facilitating my entry into the position. I am extremely grateful to our dedicated colleagues at Telefilm for the expertise and contribution to the cultural sector. And finally, we're very proud of the recognition we've received this year. Telefilm was named among Montreal's best employers, and we received the bronze level of parité certification from La Gouvernance au Féminin.
What does this all mean? It means we can look forward together with confidence. Telefilm's core mission remains to empower Canadian talent, to tell your stories through the power of Canadian cinema. Your stories are diverse, deep, universal, and compelling. And your stories deserve to be told and discovered by the world. To end, I really want to reinforce our mission. Telefilm is here to champion your work, your journey, and your success. Thank you.
Merci, Julie. Je souhaite maintenant la bienvenue à Francesca Accinelli.
Thank you, Julie. I now wish to welcome Francesca Accinelli, René Bourdage, and Patrick Ribard, who will join us for the question period. So just a little reminder, if you wish to ask a question, just use the chat option on your broadcast platform. We'll see your questions live and be able to answer them directly. So we also have offered the possibility of sending in questions before the APA. So I can start with one that was sent before.
What is Telefilm doing to improve regional representation?
Well, thank you first for the question. That's an important topic for Telefilm. You know, as a national organization, we're working with different partners, with provincial agencies, for example, but it's also important to consider the specificities of the region. So, for example, we launched our Indigenous Reconciliation Plan a few weeks ago, as I said in my speech. A few weeks ago, René Bourdage and Miarnez Lenten, who is our national director on English market. We were in Halifax to work with our partners are there, the provincial agencies and other organizations, to improve our processes and to continue to improve our program as well, to make sure that we can support local filmmakers. I think I'm going to ask my colleague René Bourdage to complete this answer because he is in charge of the portfolio.
Thank you, Julie. I want to present myself. I'm a white middle-aged man sitting in my office right now with a brick wall, a window on my side, and a couple of Canadian film posters behind me that are among the ones you should discover, hopefully. As Julie mentioned earlier, Telefilm conducted a high-profile marketing campaign to encourage audiences to return to cinema with 15 Canadian films, and we partnered and collaborated with distributors and exhibitors to showcase movies like Bystander in Halifax, Brother in Scarborough, The Grisly Truth in Vancouver, and with regional touches to the film's theatrical releases, highlighting local talent and promotional activities along the way. And we've reached audiences, big and small, all across Canada. That was so well received that we've decided to extend this program for the current fiscal.
Thank you, René. Thank you, Julie. The next question received first is a comment and then a question. Telefilm senior management lack diversity. What are you doing about that? So, Julie, I will let you answer.
Yes, of course. Well, first, I just want to say that we recognize that at top management. Just want to reiterate a few action and measures that Telefilm committed to. So first, we are at the implementation of the phase 2 of our EDI action plan. We're having a VP position within the executive committee dedicated to EDI. So this position is fulfilled by Cathy Wong. As we mentioned earlier, she's on her maternity leave. She will come back in April. So that's a key position within the executive committee. A recall of our targets. 3 years ago, we committed to 50% of representation of new hires and 30% of new representation of new hires for management position. And I'm super glad to say that we reach our targets. And these numbers, of course, are minimum. But I really want to add a very important tool that we have. We have a succession plan, which is something very important to support a career and professional path. And I'm pretty sure that, you know, the amount of those actions and tool will give some results, and we'll see those evolving results over the next years.
Thank you, Julie. La prochaine question en français.
The following question for Julie as well. How is Telefilm tackling the issue of artificial intelligence in the industry? This question was asked in French. Well, artificial intelligence is something that everyone is talking about nowadays. This is a technology that is very present and with which we're going to have to deal with. It raises many questions for which right now we don't have that many answers. For example, copyright, ethics, moral questions. Telefilm is starting a strategic plan, as I mentioned, and then we're going to have to position ourselves on AI. On the creative front, of course, human creativity will never be replaced by AI. it might become a tool to help. But on the organizational front, there might be efficiencies to go get with such technological tools. The algorithms, for example, if we talk about discoverability, those already have been activated. So there's a series of questions that we have to ask ourselves in terms of what AI will mean. And of course, with the recent strikes, we are following all the negotiations that are going on, and we're very attentive to the conversation being held.
Merci, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
To ask questions in the chat section. We are live to answer, so really don't hesitate. We have the team all present to answer all your questions. And next question is for René. How can Telefilm support more Black directors?
Thank you for the question. Our data collection results inform us on who's applying to our programs and how we can better support Black creators. That goes from outreaches to development to production, even to capital attraction and support related to industry events. So part of the answer is increasing access. For instance, in our development program, we have a dedicated stream for Black and people of color. We had set an objective of supporting 15 projects from Black producers. We were able to support 18, which was positive. In production, our objective was to support 15 projects where at least one of the key creative positions is held by a Black person or a person of color. We were able to support 16, so that was also positive. But as we get more data going forward, we'll be able to continue this progression, and more importantly, to identify more blind spots where attention is needed. And for example, earlier this month for the French language market, we announced an initiative for Black person and persons of color to sign up for our guiding sessions led by our inclusion initiative advisor. These sessions provide an opportunity for people to get more support on accessing our programs and our platform. So if people are interested, they can go to our website. The registration is open until December 1st. And beyond these metrics, there are other ways that we can better support Black directors. I'm thinking of another example, which was the first ever Black Screen Office delegation to the Cannes Film Festival and the Marché du Film, which is very important for creators to meet and initiate collaboration. And Telefilm supported that delegation financially and logistically.
Thank you, René. I think we also received a similar question on YouTube, and René just answered it. So thank you for your answer, René. Next question is for Francesca. How are you supporting Canadian films internationally, and what are you doing to improve visibility in the global markets?
Thank you very much for the question. First, I'd like to describe myself. I'm a middle-aged woman with blonde hair. I'm seated with a blue blouse and a very colorful abstract painting behind me. I hope everyone knows that cinema and talent are at the core of our international activities. Putting your talent front and center at all that we do internationally is paramount. And the way we do it is through a couple of different pillars. One would be the pavilions that we have the privilege of leading internationally in partnership with our provincial and other federal agencies, so that we can showcase your films and your development to either encourage financing or to have it sold internationally. The other way we do it is through our international promotion program. I hope you saw in the video, but we supported 179 projects in that fiscal year in 22-23 in 25 countries, which already demonstrates that the world is seeking our great Canadian content. And then on top of that, we also have been able to start partnering with organizations like the Indigenous Screen Office for a couple of years to see export and international activities through the lens of our Indigenous partners, and more recently with the Black Screen Office. So I think our success always comes through collaboration with our partners with those that come from community to help us better lead our international activities. We're always looking for better ways to engage you and discover new places that Canada, Telefilm, and our industry should be internationally. Thank you.
Thank you, Francesca. Next question will be for Julie. So what are you doing to ensure Canadian films are discoverable within Canada?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. I mean, discoverability is not a new concept, but it's still a challenge. So again, it is a question of partnership with our partner from streaming, and different key players in the industry. But again, I'm going to pass it to the expert because Fran is working really hard with her team to improve those partnerships and make sure that Canadian content is visible through different kinds of opportunities.
Well, thank you very much, Julie. I think, first and foremost, we recognize that film festivals are central to discovering our great films. So we've been really pleased. We're able to support 150 film festivals across Canada, where we encourage them to prioritize and spotlight Canadian films. On top of that, as Julie mentioned, we partner wherever Canadian films are discoverable. So that is with platforms such as Apple, with Roku, but it's also with our Canadian collaborators, CBC Gem and Illico. We're always eager to showcase and partner with people that are putting Canadian films at the forefront. We also have a tool called See It All. I'm looking at the French, Plein la Vue. It's a platform. I encourage you, if you haven't taken a look, but what a great place for you to seek out Canadian content, whether it's in cinemas or online. I always ask people to think Canadian first because we have a lot to share. And then lastly, I would be remiss without talking about our other programs. We support Canadian exhibitors across Canada, again, encouraging them to showcase Canadian films. And as Renee mentioned, we've had great success with an initiative we launched last year focused on audience engagement, where we're spotlighting, we're kind of giving that coup de main, that push that some Canadian films are need to push through the noise and all the other competition, and it's had really great success. But we've done that in partnership with our colleagues in distribution and the Producers Association. We can't do discoverability alone, and we need you. That's my message. I think we need you.
Thank you, Francesca. La prochaine question est au sujet de la coproduction.
Next question is about co-production. So Julie, it will be for you. Hello. What does Telefilm grant in terms of space to the international co-production? Will it remain a priority in the years to come? Well, listen, co-production is essential. As a matter of fact, Telefilm has formulated to manage co-productions with Heritage Canada. Co-productions are a business model that is essential to, how can I say, to have the means of our ambitions in cinematography. They are opportunities to broaden the visibility of our films on various territories. And we're doing a great deal of activities on the international scene, like activities that were described by Fran earlier. We promote co-production via our international co-productions. We allow the Canadian players to travel internationally to meet with some partners and close deals and to create co-production agreements. So it's certainly a business model that is called to continue and that Telefilm is going to encourage. I don't know, Renee, you are the one that works closely with this sector. If you have anything to add to my answer, excellent answer. Nothing to add, except that we'll keep going, encouraging co-productions, majority and minority, and as a complement also.
Merci, Julie. Merci, René.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, Renee. As a matter of fact,
does Telefilm fund movies based on budget, schedule, and cash flow? Should U.S. independent feature filmmakers include A-list star cast and crews like David and his son Brandon Cronenberg in order to get theatrical and telefilm recognition and support?
Of course, we consider budget. It's one of the elements, but on our website, we're very transparent about the evaluation grid of our production program. And the most important element is the creative aspect. The creative elements account for 40 to 50% of the evaluation grid. Track record of the key creative personnel, the producers, the director, the screenwriter is also factored in. The project viability and the cultural impact and the audience reach potential are also considered. And depending if we are looking at a project with a budget above 3.5 million, then the emphasis of the project viability gets a little more important, as you can understand.
Thank you, René. Alors, c'était la dernière question pour aujourd'hui. Merci à
That was
tous.
today's last question. Thank you, all of you, for your questions. Our team is going to make sure that we answer all questions online, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
So thank you for attending Telefilm 2022 Annual Public Assembly. Merci à tous et à toutes de votre présence en ligne.
Thank you, all of you, to your presence online today. Thank you to Robert Spickler, Julie Roy, Francesca Cinella, René Bourdage, Patrick Bédard, and the French, English, and sign language interpreters.
All my colleagues who helped organize today's presentation. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bonne journée à tous et à toutes.